confirm for that update from the, apparently it wasn't Anne Waiguru, the cabinet secretary. She was represented by the principal secretary there, together with the governor, giving us an update. What do you gather from that, before we go on, from that presentation by the governor? Some things to glean.
It's something predictable. It's normal. We have laws that we don't implement. We have laws that we don't enforce. And from what he's saying here, he's not saying what his office has done or ever done to audit the buildings that we have.
Exactly.
He's also running away from responsibility. He's telling you that when you see cracks in your building, what you need to do is take off. Don't even report it to my office.
He
just
didn't
run
even say
out,
report,
you know?
where?
So he's running away from responsibility. And this is the culture of our leaders. None wants to be accountable. None wants to be held responsible for things that are fairly obvious. By now, Kidero would be making major statements about the conduct of his own officials. Yes. He would be making serious statements about his county government on this. In the developed world, Kidero would not have been in office today.
Yeah.
He would have actually resigned.
Two buildings collapsing in a span of 1 month.
Within a span of 1 month.
Meaning supervision of those buildings within his city government is weak. Yeah. Or people are on the take.
No,
because
it's both.
Between you and I,
it's both.
There is no way you can build anything in this city. Even the first time you drop sand at your place, the next day.
I am telling you that county officials must have been there when they were digging the trenches of that building. County officials were there to check on various other licenses that they have had, and they have been visiting that site. That's fairly obvious.
He said the 4 floors were allowed, but not the others.
So how did they
extend?
Yes,
to the seventh. Without the knowledge of the Nairobi city government.
It means someone was on the take. It means this is the rent-seeking behavior we have seen leading to these kind of circumstances.
Yeah. It is true. You can't blame Kidero for the mess that is there, because this government is young. And he acknowledges that. But what is he doing to cure? And that we would expect from radical change of government, new broom, sweeping around. We would expect he has set up an audit of all the buildings.
David, this government, the county government, just like the Jubilee administration, they are not young. You always are known by what you'll do and what will be the nature of your government by what you do within the first 100 days. Right. Tell me what they did in the county office in the first 100 days. It's within the first 100 days that we shall know whether you'll be enforcing the rule of law. It's within the first 100 days that we shall know whether actually you're interested in cleaning the city. It's within the first 100 days that we know whether you are going to set up the right institutions or not. And Kidero has always told us that he had court cases to deal with.
Yes.
Right? This is no excuse. I'm simply saying it's no excuse. It's because they do not know what they are supposed to be doing.
A lot of course is still wrong within the county. I see buildings, by the way, at Tuskys roundabout, Mbagathi, Langata Road.
Yes.
Smack at that roundabout, there's a building coming up. Yeah. Right there. Being seen is growing. Soon they remove the mabati.
Yeah.
Traffic jam, traffic, people, pedestrians and vehicles right at the roundabout.
Yeah.
That is for Kidero. If he's looking up at what is coming up all over the place, he should actually, get his people to work, right?
Don't forget that in Eastlands, bylaws no longer work.
No.
Because they don't work. Because the former city council councillors and the officials made it a rent-seeking area. They would grab plots and sell them.
And most members of parliament in Nairobi are former councillors.
Former councillors.
So they know the system.
They know the system. So we are talking about mushrooming of slums in areas that are not meant for slums, simply because someone has been on the take and someone is circumventing and undermining the law that is existing.
Is this something that perhaps the national government needs to intervene as well, so that it's beyond the county government?
But the national government has similar weaknesses. They don't enforce the laws that we have. We have so many laws.
Because lands and housing, this falls strictly under Charity Ngilu's...
the other day I drove through Johor Road. If you look at Johor Road, most of the road, the pedestrian walkway has been eaten by
structures.
Hawkers structures. How do they happen to be there? Because I used to see Johor Road at kind of boulevard. Very nice road. Now it's occupied.
Yeah.
Why?
And they will come later on to remove people from the same buildings later on when someone new. Have you ever noticed something about the beautification of the city?
Yeah.
It's a process that takes place every 1 year. Even before the paint has dried on a beautification center, someone else is given a different contractor to come and do that and begin something else new. You can't tell me that this is an innocent process. It's not.
All right,
Can you go
that's
back
it. Let's go back to, we're looking at the judiciary
Yeah.
and the optimism we have that it will remain the beacon of a
Yeah.
new foundation, new
Yeah.
democracy, and new rule of law constitutionalism. Has that hope been shattered? Is that foundation shaken?
I think that foundation is not shaken to the core, because I've seen opinion polls in this country that still rate the judiciary as one of the institutions that people have got confidence in. Before the Supreme Court ruling, people's confidence in the judiciary was about 72%. It had risen from 28% during the post-election violence to 71%.
Yes.
And the latest that I've seen is about 65%, 65%,
Yeah.
meaning that close to over 65% of Kenyans really have got confidence in it because of the way they are seeing things. But the most important thing is that the Chief Justice and the President of the Supreme Court is not succeeding himself. He's not having any succession.
Yes.
He's not going to succeed himself, and therefore
2 years
he's-
left of him.
Two years are left of him, and therefore what he may be seeking to do is to leave an intact legacy. But that intact legacy will of course be messed up by the new value systems, by the new cartels that we are all hearing are coming in. Now, but let's also remember one thing. Throughout the independence of Kenya, post-independence period, this is the only judiciary where the executive has not been able to pick a telephone and tell the Chief Justice, do MBCRD.
Yes.
This is the only time that we have had a Chief Justice who will not be asked to do bidding for the executive and even for the legislature. And therefore, both the executive and the legislature are in problems. And that's why they are at times siding with the judiciary, at other times they are attacking them, because they have never had it easy to try to tell the judiciary, do as we
But there is
wish.
considerable, Karuti, you must
no,
accept that there's considerable pressure on the judiciary to pull back a little on its firm, positions. For example, with regard to injunctions they've issued against the executive,
Yeah.
which the executive says is stalling its development agenda.
Yeah.
So you can see there is a bit of attempts to push back the judiciary from holding ground.
Yeah, but they are
Will it-
pushing.
will it stay?
But they are pushing them using a legal
way.
framework.
Negotiations, meetings, discussions are happening.
But they are using.
Gentleman's understanding. We
but-
have a mandate, you have a mandate.
You have a mandate.
You've had the
But-
president
but
telling
yes,
you the CJ.
saying that, but-
Let me do mine also, don't obstruct.
But remember the CJ's response to that.
Yes.
That as an institution, we are there to respect the Constitution, and the preamble of the Constitution is the most important thing that we have.
Yes.
And he always cites Article 10 of the Constitution.
Yes.
But that is not to say that there are no bad things happening within the judiciary. As we have said, that there is the old order that has been fighting back. There is also the new order that is trying to find its way now that the vetting of judges and magistrates is over. And maybe what Kenya needs to consider is to make vetting of judges and magistrates a permanent feature, or give it even to the JSC. But let's ensure that there is vetting after, let's say, 2-3 years. There is vetting of people within the judiciary.
Well,
Can you go
the
back to,
JSC should do its work. If you have these periodic things, okay, all right.
can you do something else? Go to the economy.
Yeah.
Oil prices have gone down. Some people are happy about that. They're sharing the inflation. What do you see the future for this year about the economy?
Yeah, surprisingly, let me make an interesting remark, because this is a shock to some of us who are interested in the nature of politics and the economy. The 2013 election was the only election from 1988 that did not affect growth in Kenya. We always go to elections at about 1% and come out of elections at -1%. We went to the elections in 2013 March at 4.7%, came out of that election at 4.8%. To me, that was a very strange thing. And some of us think it's simply because we knew settlements had been done in 2012. So there was the areas that resort into violence, like in Rift Valley, were no longer going to erupt in violence. That is characteristic feature of our elections. But having said that, there is also a phenomenon that is very interesting. Inflation rate has not gone to double digits, as was the case in 2011. But the shilling is weakening, right? The shilling is weakening. It has shot from about 84 shillings to the
90
dollar to about 90 over December. In the last 4 or 5 days, it was trading at 90, and in some places at 91%. Meaning that perhaps our macroeconomic and physical policies and monetary policies perhaps are yet to be stabilized
Yes,
within
they're
this
not
particular.
gelling well.
They're not gelling well, if one can say that. The second thing to say is that we have not had serious droughts. Remember, our economy, our agricultural-based economy is usually suffers during drought period.
Yeah.
And from last year to date, we have not had very serious drought to affect agricultural
We've
growth.
had sufficient food.
Yes.
It's the distribution of it that has been, or availability to certain consumer
to
sections
certain
of the
consumer
country that
sections
have been a bit problematic.
So we can say that there are some good things that are happening with the economy through natural factors, if one can say that, rather than direct hand of the government trying to make policies that will change any of the underlying factors that would cause inflation and so on. But let me also say that we have seen the usual trend in Rift Valley about maize prices.
Yes.
Maize in this country is the most expensive within the region. In Tanzania, they sell maize at about 1,800. Uganda at about 1,900. It's only in Kenya where maize prices have been about 3,200. And the reason is simple. It's only large-scale maize farmers from northern Rift Valley that create opportunities for the government to hike the rent by insisting that their maize should be bought at this particular price. And they began recently. They were holding
but it's
demonstrations.
because of the factors of production, right?
No,
I mean,
nothing.
now we're trying to
Nothing.
get a fertilizer plant factory here so that
No,
the
nothing.
inputs are going to be cheaper, so that the cost of production will go down, so that our prices of our product, final maize harvest, is going to be affordable by subsidy.
It is not. It is not. It's who are subsidized to grow maize in this country. It's only northern Rift farmers who are subsidized to grow maize. The farmer in Kwale does not receive that subsidized fertilizer, except now through the county government. The farmer in Meru does not receive that subsidized fertilizer in the same quantities as in northern Rift.
Yeah. Yeah, but they don't grow commercial maize. That's why they
we
grow
are talking about
subsistence.
subsistence. We are talking about subsistence.
Yes, yes.
Getting the family household to have enough food is the most important thing.
Yeah.
The fortunate thing is that I've been to several counties and I've seen county governments having very elaborate processes and policies for increasing agricultural production, and that is going to be the savior of our food security in the next few years if the county governments get it right.
What about oil and energy?
Yeah. How are these going to impact our economy this year? Well, the prospect for mining is not there. I think we begin mining oil maybe 2016, 17, if we proceed with
international prices have gone down.
Yes, they have gone down.
Is it bad?
So they're likely to reduce the prices of some of the essential commodities, including maize, actually. Transport costs should go down, but as we know, the cartels controlling the transport sector will not bring transport costs even down by an inch.
Yeah.
Manufacturing sector, manufactured goods themselves will have to go down by a similar percent, but the cartels controlling the sector again will not let this go down with any significant margin.
Yeah.
So we are likely to see a situation where we shall be debating again the role of the government in controlling prices.
Yeah, the economy is going to grow a different leg, I think, in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah.
From agro-based, manufacturing to mineral-based. I foresee that as a serious area of concern, even conflict, in my projection.
Yes, there is certainly going to be not only conflict, but if we don't take care as a country, we might have more food insecurity as people start focusing on extractives, people start focusing on minerals and oil. They will might neglect agriculture. We have seen that in Mozambique, we have seen that in Angola, where the food sector is completely forgotten simply because we have got new opportunities now for money. That's the route that we should not take. We need to start emphasizing on agriculture as we have been doing before, increase the amount of money for agriculture, and we know we can't do that.
There needs to be more investment there to beef up that agriculture belt, as it were, the Western Rift Valley.
Yes. But that does not mean is not to tell us that there is not going to be a conflict. And the conflict we are likely to have different levels of conflict. We are going to have, first of all, conflicts between the county government and the national government.
Right.
We are going to have because of what percent should go, even if they sort it by law. Until it is institutionalized, that conflict will be taking place because the governor might be saying you have no authority to do ABCD.
Yeah.
Two, even if you are talking about land, the National Land Commission will have its also difficulties with the local communities, right? So we are going to see institutional conflicts, but we are also going to see communal conflicts, especially in multi-ethnic areas, especially in areas that have got clan-based type of conflicts. We are going to see conflicts between pastoralists and the people now engaging in extractives.
Yes.
If you go to Turkana,
Yeah.
you cannot tell me that those cross-border conflicts will just cease all of a sudden.
Yeah.
They might be actually even be financed through the extractives that we see. So we are not yet over through some of these issues.
All right.
Yeah.
But so,
Yeah.
finally, maybe just two things to tie down. Well, what do you foresee in IEBC? Very crucial. It had a very critical year, noise around its formation, disbandment calls. And now they are in the process of recruitment of a new CEO, which is unfinished business. And there's already controversy around it about lobbying.
Yeah, I saw that article.
What do we see for IEBC ahead? A new IEBC? Any prospects because of the chicken gate and all these things which have come up?
That's a very interesting question, because remember the chicken gate that people are talking about is chicken gate, that chicken scandal that took place during the IIEC.
Yes.
And then carried itself over to IEBC.
Yes.
Let me say that most of the things are going to depend on how the anti-corruption authority behaves within the period. Is it going to bring people to book, right? We have never known our anti-corruption authority actually doing what it needs to do.
Yes.
So it may make IEBC buy its time before any action takes place. But remember also at IEBC, the positions that have been advertised, in addition to the CEO position, there are many other positions for the people who were sacked or people whose cases are already in court.
Yeah.
So we are likely to get, if they employ new people,
yes,
we are likely to get a new institutional transformation by default, right, from the administrative side. But
yes,
that means the commissioners will be left intact, right?
Yes.
And I don't know when the tenure of most of the commissioners is coming
in
place.
2017,
But
actually,
I do not see a new
the motion
IEBC
to
coming
move them
place.
to post 2017 floundered somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't think is in the works. And finally, ICC is going to be a major factor this year. Ruto is left at the ICC alone, and most of this year, I think the case will either proceed and or be terminated or end somehow.
I don't think it's later in the year. It's early in the year, if I'm right. I mean, because if you look at the calendar and the agreement that was reached with both the prosecution and the defense, they agreed early in the year the case should be brought to an end. But let me say it might not be a major issue as the president's case was. Because the president's case is what had caused a lot of traction within even the continent itself. Now that it's over, and we have never really seen a major mobilizing
Yes.
around the deputy president's case.
Well, there was expression of solidarity when the president's case was dropped, and they said we are together.
Let's wait and see what happens, whether we are going to have the same mobilization in Africa that we have had on the president's case.
Whichever way it's resolved, whether it is a conviction or a finding of guilt on his part or an acquittal, will have some ramifications on the government
it will
coalition.
have ramifications not only on the coalition but even at the local level. Local communities in Rift Valley will of course react depending on how the case itself is.
If it ends in an acquittal or a dismissal of those charges,
yes,
there will be more solidification.
There will be more
and therefore
yes,
Jubilee will be right on the first lane.
Yes, and they will be saying that now that we have, I mean, we are going to win the 2017 election without any challenge. But if there is... if
it ends up as a conviction.
If it ends up as a conviction, I don't think the coalition will remain holding together.
To be
There will
problematic marriage.
Even if the coalition itself among the top leaders remains in place, the local communities might react differently.
All right. All right, we have to leave it right there. Thanks, Dr. Karuti Kanyinga from
Pleasure.
the Institute for Development Studies, University of Nairobi. Always a pleasure having you to share your perspectives. We're looking at 2015 and what to expect and offering our perspectives. I'm sure you have yours. Wish you a very, very fabulous year ahead. Thank you for watching Power Breakfast. Our music is next.